Greetings to you on the channel INFAPORTPSYCHOLOGY. Today we are going to discuss the all-painful topic, aggression in relationships. Many of us may have faced abuser without even realizing it. How to recognize an abuser in time and what to do if you or your loved ones find yourself in such a situation. Today we will talk about its psychological aspects and how you can get out of this vicious circle. Stay with us until the end. There are a lot of useful tips ahead. Often shows up unnoticed. Insults disguised as grooming, constant control under the guise of love. All these are signals that indicate that you are in the wrong cartoon. In today's video, we'll teach you how to recognize these signals and protect yourself. Emotional approach is a form of abusive behavior that is not always visible. It is constant humiliation, criticism, manipulation, and control of the partner. Such actions lower self-esteem and can be very destructive. Imagine a situation where your partner is constantly pointing out your flaws to you, disguising it as caring. As you begin to believe that you are not good enough, that's a clear sign of emotional withdrawal. If you think your partner is controlling your actions and making you doubt yourself, this is a red flag. Talk openly with your loved ones or see a professional. Socially adapted psychopaths are those who may appear to be a second partner on the outside, but in reality, hide their manipulative and cruel intentions. They know how to manipulate people's feelings and create the illusion of love and care. Olga met a man who seemed weak. He was attentive, caring, always ready to help. But over time, he began to control her life, checking her phone and limiting contact with friends. It was a classic example of an adapted psychopath. Be aware of partners who quickly begin to take control of your life. This may be the first sign of latent abusive behavior. Emotional dependency is one of the reasons why consequences show up in abusive relationships. Abusers limit close emotional criticism and then use it to manipulate. Katya, despite the constant humiliation, could not leave her partner because she believed that she could not cope without him. He confirmed to her that no one else would need her. If you think your partner is making you think you can't cope without him or her, this is a sign of an emotional nature. Seek help from your nearest professional. Many victims of war remain in abusive relationships because of fear of loneliness, low self-esteem, or confidence that the situation is changing. Marina lived with her husband for a long time, despite his aggression, because she believed that he had changed. He always promised to start a new life, but everything happened again. If you feel like the situation is changing, and you're just waiting for a better time, that's a signal that you're being manipulative. Ask for help from trusted people. Jealousy is often used as a tool of control. The abuser can make you justify any actions, accuse you of cheating, limit your freedom. Dima constantly accused his girlfriend Nastya of cheating, checked her phone, and demanded compliance at every step. As a result, Nastya felt like being in a cell. If jealousy arises from limiting what is reasonable and turns into tools of pressure and control, it is a serious sign of an unfavorable relationship. Protect your right in your personal space. To understand why abusers behave the way they do, it is necessary to delve into their way of thinking. Often their actions are driven by inner complexes, fears, and the desire for power. Michael became the focal point of progress to his wife when she started earning more than him. His inner fear lost control, which caused him to want to control her. Remember that violent behavior unrelated to your actions is the result of the abuser's internal problems. You do not need to make excuses. Liberation from restrictive relationships is at the core of the process. The victim often needs the support of loved ones to move forward. Irina endured physiological and emotional abuse for several years. But one day, she sought help from friends and an organization that helped her start a new life. If you are in an abusive situation, seek support. Find an organization that can help you get out of this situation safely. Emotional incest is a form of power where one parent shifts emotional responsibility to the child, which can have a negative impact on the child's future. Anna was supported from childhood by her mother, who complained to her about her father. As an adult, Anna found herself in the same emotionally dependent relationship with her partner. If you grew up in a dysfunctional family where your emotional worker was ignored, it's important to work with a psychologist to recognize this pattern so you don't reproduce it in your life. And the psychology of the military is complex. Abusers often use manipulation to maintain control over the victim, to give the impression that they cannot live without them. Lena continued her relationship with her partner, who constantly emphasized her flaws to make her feel like no one wanted her. Understanding that you are entitled to every opinion and discretion will help you realize the unhealthy nature of these relationships. Some people tend to fall into unfavorable circumstances because of low self-esteem or childhood traumas. This makes them vulnerable to manipulation and violence. Victoria grew up in a family where her father constantly criticized her mother. When she started dating a man who behaved in the same way, she saw nothing unusual in it. If you notice that you are constantly engaging partners who are being aggressive or controlling, this is a reason to consider working on you with a psychologist. Personal boundaries are an important tool to protect yourself from authority. Knowing how to say no and promote your interests is the key to a healthy relationship. When Elena started a new relationship, her partner controlled her social circle. Learn to keep your boundaries and expand them. This will help protect you from manipulative and controlling behaviors. Childhood trauma can have a profound impact on the choice of partners in adulthood. People who have experienced pressure in childhood may reproduce this pattern in adulthood. Victoria, who grew up in a family where she was physically and emotionally abusive, began dating a man who constantly oppressed her. She did not immediately realize that this was not the norm. If you think childhood traumas are affecting your current relationship, working with a counselor can help mitigate these negative patterns. Abusive behavior can start with little things: constant criticism, jokes on your account, controlling what you do. All of this can develop into more serious forms of abusive behavior. Lena at first did not give meaning to the consistency of her partner's taunts, but over time she noticed that her self-esteem had dropped significantly. This was the first sign of abusive behavior. If you think your partner is constantly humiliating you, this is a signal that the relationship is unhealthy. Discuss this with him or her or seek support. The process of recovering from an abusive relationship is a long journey that requires work on yourself. It is important to surround yourself with supportive people and not be afraid to ask for help. Irina left her abusive husband and started to lead her own life. Psychological counseling and support from friends helped her. Don't be afraid to seek professional help. Psychotherapy and working on yourself can help you heal and start a new, healthy relationship. Manipulation is one of the key tools of abusers. They may use gaslighting, when you are persuaded that your feelings and emotions are insignificant or wrong. Oleg constantly told his girlfriend that she was too sensitive when she complained about his behavior. This is a classic example of gaslighting. If you think you're feeling devalued and begin to question your adequacy, this is a sign of manipulation. Seek support from your nearest or professional. One of the strongest fears abusers have about abusive relationships is the fear of relationship breakdown. Julia stayed in a conservative relationship for a long time because she was afraid that she couldn't continue without him. However, after deciding on a breakup, she realized that the fear was more in her head than in reality. Recognize that fear is a temporary protection. Seek help, start with small steps. But remember that healthy relationships are always better. Self-love is the foundation for building healthy relationships. Subscribers often choose people with low self-esteem because they are easier to manipulate. Svetlana, who had long put her partner's interests above her own, realized that this was interfering with her self-esteem. She started working on herself, which helped her get out of the relationship and build a healthy life. Learn to love and respect yourself. Self-respect is your shield against unfavorable relationships. Silence is the main enemy in the receiving region. Many victims are ashamed or afraid to talk about their problems, which only aggravates the situation. Lisa hid for a long time that she was in an abusive relationship because she was ashamed to admit to herself, even intimately. Only when she opened up to her friend was she able to find support and get out of the relationship. Talk about your problems. Don't be afraid of judgment. It is important to find people who will support you and help you get out of a difficult situation. Can feelings be a weapon? This is a question that may seem strange at first glance, but let's delve into it. Have you ever felt empty after talking to someone, as if all your strength and energy had been lost? Does it feel like your energy has been stolen? This feeling may be familiar to many of us. It can be emotional abuse. It can come in many forms, and often we don't even realize it's happening. It is invisible, hidden, but very real. Emotional abuse can be difficult to recognize because it leaves no visible traces. People use emotions as a weapon to get what they want. They can manipulate your feelings to control you. They may not even realize they are doing it. It may be an unconscious tactic, but the consequences can be devastating. But understanding this hidden battlefield is the first step to protecting yourself. Education and awareness can help you recognize the signs of emotional abuse. Let's look at how to recognize these tactics and find peace. We can learn how to protect ourselves and restore our emotional energy. Emotional abuse happens everywhere. Imagine a coworker who constantly complains, making you feel guilty for his unhappiness, or a partner who uses silence after an argument to force you to give in. These are not accidents. They are deliberate maneuvers designed to control your emotions and behavior. Silence is a classic weapon of emotional abuse. It can be used to make you feel insecure and helpless. It creates anxiety and pressure, making you doubt yourself and your actions, forcing you to apologize even though you did nothing wrong. This is a manipulative way of making you feel guilty. Guilt is another powerful tool. Manipulators often use it to control you. Phrases like, "After all I've done for you," or "You've disappointed me," or "You should be ashamed," are aimed at making you feel guilty. These words aim to make you feel responsible for the manipulator's feelings, even if you don't. Recognizing these tactics is critical. Understanding how these techniques work will help you protect yourself. To protect your emotional well-being, practice mindfulness and seek help when needed. Protect yourself creating emotional armor. In this section, we will look at how to create a defense to help you deal with emotional difficulties. The key to winning this war is not to fight, but to build a strong defense. This means building an inner fortress that will protect you from negative influences. Start by becoming aware of your own emotions. Write down your feelings and reflect on them. What triggers your anger, guilt, or fear? Understanding these triggers is the first step to building emotional armor. Once you understand your vulnerabilities, you can begin to build your defenses. This may include positive affirmations and visualization. This may include setting boundaries, learning to say no, and learning to stand up for yourself, or simply walking away from toxic conversations. Remember that your emotional armor is your protection, and you are entitled to it. Setting boundaries is your shield against manipulation. Setting boundaries is critical to fending off emotional attacks. Clearly communicate what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. For example, tell a coworker who is always complaining that you are only willing to talk about work during work hours. Or let your partner know that you won't engage in conversations when he or she uses silence tactics. Finding peace, your journey to emotional freedom. Remember, you are not responsible for other people's emotions. You have the right to protect your own well-being. Recognizing emotional manipulation by setting boundaries and prioritizing your emotional health, you can break free from the battlefield and find peace. It's a journey, but it's worth it for your own happiness and well-being. Economic violence is when one partner controls the other's access to financial resources, making them dependent. It is a form of control that is often overlooked, but it can be destructive. Ivan denied his wife access to their joint bank account, controlling all financial decisions, making her completely dependent. It's important to maintain financial independence and realize that access to money is your right, not a privilege. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse where the abuser makes the victim doubt his or her adequacy and perception of reality. It is one of the most widespread and insidious methods of manipulation. When Maria told her partner that she felt disrespected, he replied, "You're making it up. You're just too sensitive." Over time, she began to doubt her reality. If you feel that your partner is making you doubt your thoughts and emotions, this is a clear sign of gaslighting. Find support from people who can help you regain your confidence. Fear is a powerful weapon of the abuser. He can use threats, manipulating the fear of losing relationships, security, or even physical safety to keep the victim in submission. Oleg often threatened his wife that if she left, he would take the children away or make her life unbearable. These threats forced her to stay with him. Do not let fear rule your life. If you are being frightened or threatened, this is a serious danger signal. Find a safe place and get help. Long-term abusive relationships can severely compromise mental and physical health. Chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and even psychosomatic illnesses can result from long-term abuse. Natalia, living in a relationship with an abuser for many years, began to suffer from constant headaches and digestive problems. Her body was reacting to the constant stress. If you are experiencing chronic health problems, it is important to consider whether they may be relationship-related. Taking care of your mental and physical health should be a priority. Recovery from abusive behavior is a long process that takes time and support. It is important to regain self-confidence and learn to love and respect yourself. After leaving an abusive relationship, Irina began working with a psychologist to rebuild her self-esteem and learn how to build healthy boundaries. Take your time. Recovery takes time. Surround yourself with supportive people and professionals who will help you on your way to a new life. If you are facing an abusive relationship, don't be afraid to seek help from professionals and organizations that are, in fact, designed to do just that. They can help you develop a plan of production and keep you safe. Alyona turned to an organization that helped her leave a violent relationship and start a new life. Now she lives a free and happy life. Do not hesitate to seek professional help. There are organizations that can help you at all stages, from psychological support to legal assistance. As you have already realized, recognizing an abuser and realizing that you are in an abusive relationship is not an easy task, but recognizing this fact is a huge step towards liberation. It is important to remember you are worthy of love, respect, and a life without fear. No one should have to put up with pain and suppression. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our INFAPORT Psychology channel. Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. Your experience could be an important support for someone else. And if you still have questions, don't hesitate to ask. We are always happy to help. Remember, you are not alone. There are people and organizations ready to support you on your journey to a new life. Subscribe to our channel not to miss important tips and new videos on psychology, relationships, and personal growth. Stay tuned, there is a lot of useful and important information ahead.